Original Gamer Life is a combination of gaming community hub, also a metaverse connector and a marketplace, all powered by the blockchain. And with me is the Chief Technology Officer, Colin Charles, to explain the game and what it is that you do. First, Colin, just explain your role as Chief Technology Officer. What is it you do on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, thanks, Jane. As CTO, basically the idea is we choose technologies we will not regret in the next 5 to 10 years, and we're going to choose technologies that we build for scalability from day one, because I'm sure you know games are notoriously hard to make, and naturally we'd like to make scalable, reusable platforms such that we can make use of these components again and again. If in the event that one game doesn't work out, we can make 49 more, very much like the Angry Birds people did.
Mm-hmm. And then tell us about your background. What did you study in school? What experience have you had that led you to be a CTO?
Yeah, I've spent more than 20 years developing open source software. So some of the things you're familiar with, like MySQL, MariaDB Server, parts of worked at Linux, Fedora, etc. So I spent a lot of time developing software that lots of end users touch. So it only made sense to start trying on a new role. And here I am as CTO of TKYOLABS, where we develop things like Strongnote and Original Gamer Life.
Yeah. Where did your interest in tech come from?
I got my first computer when I was about 5 years old. It was a family PC, and I just started playing with it in the late 80s. So quite enjoyed it and never stopped.
Yeah. And then CTOs are like big in terms of like the grand vision of companies as well, and can even be kind of like change agents for IT. Do you see it that way? And how does that part of your job play into the company?
Yeah, I think grand vision, coming up with products, product ideas, and finding better ways to do things. And in maybe the current climate, it's finding cheaper ways to do things as well. So yes, it's definitely part of the grand vision. It's also part of the execution, and also saying no to the likes of the marketing people, because sometimes they've got visions that span the universe, but we only build for us at this stage.
That's right. And then what would you say are the biggest challenges right now in your particular line of technology?
Yeah, our biggest challenge is definitely hiring. It's not just hiring for people who have blockchain experience. It's not just hiring people who have game experience. It's hiring efficient programmers who want to work in a remote distributed company. And I think that would be our biggest challenge at this stage.
Yeah. And just tell me a little bit about Original Gamer Life. Like, what is the game about? What's its mission? What's its vision?
Yeah, so for OGL, right, it's a combination of a community gaming hub, metaverse connector, as well as marketplace, and it's obviously powered, obviously, by the blockchain to some extent. So we want it to be a destination where original gamers, OGs, go, and it's also where the cryptocurrency community can converge, because we definitely believe that you're not going to get mass adoption of cryptocurrencies if you follow the path of the crypto zealot. We believe that we should aim to get it via the actual application and use cases, at which point games have actual application and use cases. So we want to bring content, services, events, things like in-game NFTs, streams, esports, all down to the original gamers, but at the same time, power that all via cryptocurrency to some extent, but abstract it such that it is not something that requires you to have 12 codes to a wallet or 24 codes to a wallet. If you forget it, you lose your in-game characters, etc.
Yeah, no, that's it. That definitely has to be fixed. And how would you say that OGLife, how does it differ from other platforms?
So I'd say that we, like many other platforms, are constant work in progress. I think a lot of people have been looking at the metaverse and how Facebook would like to define the metaverse with VR goggles. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that is the definition of the metaverse. We actually see lots of metaverse components that are very similar to Second Life, which was very popular approximately, what, 15 years ago, give or take. And so we don't necessarily see us as a competition with many others, but we see ourselves potentially as being able to and define with many others as well what a metaverse and a blockchain gaming platform looks like, because nobody wants to run, say, the game on the blockchain, because the average blockchain is probably too slow for transactions for the game. But in-game items, etc., that can later on be traded, this is probably fairly useful for the blockchain.
Yeah, and I know that OGL does makes a real effort to provide kind of a holistic look with the games, and there's a focus on health and wellness of the players. I mean, what do you see as some of that, some of the problems with gaming today in terms of health and wellness and spending too much time on games?
Yeah, I think health and wellness is a huge role that we want to actually touch. I myself enjoy going out a lot and being on my foot. We see in countries like China, they don't want you to play games and become obsessed by screen time only, and because it's clearly has a negative effect on society. Yet we see lots of esports academies where South Korea, for example, has got lots of esports, and it's not as negative as one may think.
Mhm.
And so at the same time, we don't want to judge people for playing games too much, and we don't want to only encourage you to sit in front of your computer or device for 12-hour stretch. So we do want to have games that also reward when you walk and do fitness activities. So we've seen blockchain projects like Step and do that. We
Mm.
also want to reward activities for potentially when you sleep, right? So more and more people probably have a Oura ring or an Apple Watch. We can actually pull out from these APIs if you're sleeping well as well, and reward you. So it's a case of a marketplace where we find people that want to reward you for better sleep, or better steps or better activities. So we do actually definitely want to take fitness and wellness and occasionally gamify it a bit. So eventually OGL, the platform itself, becomes the place you could spend quite a bit of time on. But it's not just negative dead time where you're playing games to get to the next level or earn the next character, but it's also to go out. We can prompt you every 15 minutes, instead of your Apple Watch telling you to stand up,
Yeah.
we'll tell you to stand up.
Yeah. So, and there's a $1 trillion opportunity in the metaverse. What kind of infrastructure needs to be in place for the metaverse to thrive? And what is OGL's role in the metaverse?
Yeah, I'd say it is definitely a $1 trillion opportunity, and we are obviously going to build within cloud infrastructure, but we're also going to take it one step further by, if we can decentralize things, we're also going to build it on top of the strong node edge nodes infrastructure. But overall, every choice we make is not there to reduce gameplay or reduce performance in any way, shape, or form, because we know that the every second and every microsecond tends to count. So we will make use of decentralized technologies where it's appropriate. We will make use of a blockchain where it's appropriate, but we're not just going to shove a blockchain in and say everything needs to be written straight to the blockchain. No one is saying you can't write it to a relational database first and then commit it to the blockchain later on as a batch as well,
Yeah,
because you're not necessarily flipping assets that you own on a every second basis. This is not the stock market, and
right.
even stock markets tend not to work. They still have order books.
And then also identity is an important part of the metaverse too. So what's OGLife doing to protect and manage people's identities?
So we think ID is very important, and that's why we built this product called Strong Node ID that we also can white label to others. So one thing about the ID component of things is we very much like to ensure that we are knowing our customers. So we actually would give you different levels inside that ID platform. And the more information we can verify about you, the higher the levels you are going to get. and that can obviously be gamified as well. So we don't expect everyone to give us all their ID information, but we do believe having access to your real name, your address, etc., should warrant you more perks because you've traded away some information about yourself. You've so-called doxed yourself, and that definitely deserves some kind of reward. So even if that means that if you reach the highest ID levels, you get 10% more rewards than everybody else, so be it. Because we want to be holistic here, and we want to have people like each other, and well, we'd like some kind of utopia, but we're never going to get a utopia. But having access to your information also probably means you'll be better behaved.
Mm-hmm. And then finally, like, how do you see from your perspective the gaming paradigm in Web3? What does that look like going forward?
I think it's actually all still being developed. And how we see the games in Web3 is, I sincerely hope we start seeing games without having gaming engines that we are having to build on with the likes of Unreal and so forth. I sincerely hope that we see streaming games succeed. I know Google might have killed Stadia recently, but that doesn't mean the idea itself wasn't sound. So we've seen lower end games succeed in the Facebook marketplace via Zynga, for example, but no one is saying that you can't have higher end games as well inside a web browser. So the way I look at it is if we can get much more higher end games in a web browser, also served at the edge, maybe via these WASM compiled libraries, this could be a game changer. And I feel like we're getting there, but we're not quite there yet in terms of adoption.
Okay. Thank you so much, Colin. Great to see you again.
Thank you very much, Jane. Cheers.